think we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone, on this beautiful spring day. Perfect location. Thanks to Tyler and Scott. We are so happy to be here, and thank you to Tyler Anderson, the owner of Millwright of Simsbury, for hosting us and being such a gracious host. Thank you. So today we are here to really celebrate the signing of the expanded outdoor dining capacity. As you all know, the pandemic in 2020 was a tumultuous year for our restaurants, but we tried to be innovative and creative, enable fast tracking and structural zoning, local zoning rules and regulations to allow for more capacity outdoors where we had to move from indoors. And through those opportunities, the innovation and creativity is just abound. And we are here at one of those prime locations that really shines through. And with now that we're going into recovery, we're really about how do we keep those and expand that for a period of time as restaurants recover, because we know that we need to focus on quality of place, and these types of opportunities really attract people and community and bring us together in ways that we could never imagine. And we hope to have these permanent after 2022, but this is a really great start, and I think we're all pleased, and we want to celebrate that today. We're going to have a few speakers. First and foremost, we're going to have Scott DOLCH, the Executive Director of the Connecticut Restaurants Association, join us. Thank you.
Thank you, GLENDOWLYN. Thank you to the administration and all of our legislative leaders here for being here. Today is a really good day. I said to Tyler and AJ, when we picked this with Rob Blanchard last week, what the weather was going to be like. So to have 71 degrees outside, I think the stars are, everything's shining, the sun's shining on us today of what we've accomplished. The governor and I just talked about having unanimous agreement to get this done and what this means for so many restaurants. I think a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about this last year and how difficult this last year has been. But there's always silver lining in everything that we do. And we owe a lot to Governor Lamont for back on May 13th of 2020 for passing the executive order to allow expanded outdoor dining. That's saved. I know we've lost permanently over 600 restaurants in our state, but we know that that's saved hundreds of restaurants. And Tyler and Millwright here is a perfect example of working with their towns to allow them to do a creative outdoor experience. And this is what this is. I mean, prior to, if anybody being up here, I'm from Simsbury, so it's excited to be here today. But knowing Tyler's background, so you guys know, a 7-time James Beard nominated chef, one of the best in our state, hands down, but his creativity and adaptability to make this work. And never before, we're standing actually in a park space where I'm standing right now. The bridge had never allowed seating before. The town of Simsbury, their effort to allow him to expand outside when we didn't have indoor dining at the time. And then he had picnic tables. He had obviously seats on the bridge. The fall came. We knew New England was coming of the winter weather. And he came up with this greenhouse idea that we were able to get approved and passed. And now it's a destination where people want to come. And more restaurants are doing that, and that's what this bill does. This bill isn't just about normal patios. This is allowing every restaurant a chance to work with their town and go outside, where, we live in New England with incredible summer, springs, and falls, to be able to go outside on streets, on grassy areas and sidewalks, and allow them to recover. That's the biggest piece about today. It's about recovery. We're on that path. This is going to play a huge role, and we hope other ways to allow some of those restaurants that have closed to maybe have a chance to reopen, and all the restaurants right now that are carrying so much debt, this is a big part of that. This is a big part of them getting back on their feet. So I'm so appreciative that we're here. Governor and all the legislative leaders that are behind me here of their efforts, GLENDOWLYN and David Lehman, Commissioner Lehman, for all their efforts to make this a reality. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to one of our former CRA board members, kind of the star here in Tyler Anderson, and what Tyler's meant for our industry, but also for Tanda Hospitality and his staff. There's no one better, and so I will turn it over now to Tyler.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to say that there are plenty of people who are better than us, but thanks to my amazing team for helping put all this together. I sit and I have ideas, but there's no way I could get all this done. I also cook a lot too, so without the team that we have, none of this would be possible. Thank you, Governor. Your office has done an amazing job through all this, keeping the people of Connecticut safe, keeping us in business, getting us back to 100% occupancy. Although we still do have the spacing, let's remember that, the 6 feet. This outdoor really helps us a lot. There are many, almost all my friends are restaurant people, so there are many restaurants that deferred a lot of what they owed through all of this. So this outdoor seating, the continuation of this, allows them to repay what they've deferred and hopefully be in better shape at the end of everything. I would like to thank Scott from the CRA for being a fighter in all of this, and obviously the town of Simsbury as well, who's been very supportive in letting us do silly things. I feel like they get an email once a month about, hey, Tyler's got a new stupid idea. Let's just make sure it's safe, and maybe we can let him do it. But thank you very much. And like I said, thank you very much, Governor. I think you've handled this in a wonderful way. I couldn't have done it better myself, nor would I want to. So thanks for coming out.
Thank you both, Scott and Tyler. And I just want to reiterate our partnership, the state and the Department of Economic and Community Development's partnership with the CRA, because without that effective communication, I know we were on each other's speed dials, that really informed the EOs, that enabled the industry to continue to operate and be creative, not the silly, crazy, outside-the-box ideas. We wanted to encourage that, and so we appreciate the restaurants like Tyler who made that happen. Next, we'll have a series of representatives and senators speak. First and foremost, we'll have Senator Tony Hong, who's a ranking member of the Planning and Development Committee at the legislature. That really was the driving force to making this expanding outdoor dining legislation pass. And I just want to say thank you to all of the representatives here, because without your partnership and leadership, we wouldn't have been able to do the job that we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Thames. I want to thank Scott for your great work with the Restaurant Association, as well as Governor Lamont and Commissioner of DECD, Layman. It was truly a collaborative, bipartisan effort that followed the executive order of the governor in his wisdom and insight to protecting our restaurant businesses. They are truly our Main Street mainstay through his executive order. And what it showed was a collaborative and bipartisan effort. I want to recognize Senator Cassano, who could not join us today, and Ranking House Member Joe Zullo, who is not here. It was an effort in which all parties worked together. And I also want to recognize our municipal leaders, because one of the biggest considerations, and it gave great credit to the collaborative effort, was for this to truly work, we needed the complete buy-in and local input of our town leaders, not just this law, but during the whole period beforehand, in which our towns and its leadership and zoning worked and collaborated and offered their input to ensure that you can make this work, but at the same time, public safety and consideration were added. But I think the most important thing was this was about helping businesses that are the mainstay of our community, that have struggled so much because of the COVID public safety issues. And I want to take a moment to thank Governor Lamont again for his tremendous leadership during this COVID pandemic. His leadership and his entire team has been recognized not only in our state, but throughout the country. So for us to be here today reflects the ingenuity of Tyler. These pots look awesome. But it also reflects the ingenuity that government and collaboration with industry and our community can make things work. So I'm so grateful to be here, but I wanted to acknowledge the true partnership and collaboration of all parties involved. And you know what? We got to talk pretty loud with that backdrop of water. Thank you, Governor, again.
Thank you, Senator Hong. The next, we'll have Representative Eleni Kavros-McGraw.
Thank you so much. I'm so gratified to be here today because, as Tyler knows, on Halloween, he had put up that he was having trouble getting these approved. And I said, let me see what I can do. Let me see who I can reach out to. And by Monday, as I was reminded, it was like overnight that we, thank goodness to the governor's office and his team and the municipal leaders, this was able to turn around so fast. I've had the pleasure of dining in these greenhouses. I'd remind you that Mother's Day is around the corner. So if it's not this greenhouse, I hope it's a greenhouse somewhere in your part of the state. And it's just an extraordinary thing. I worked in restaurants for many years. I know how small the margins are. I know what this means, not just to the owners and the managing partners of these restaurants, but to all the employees. And I just want to give another shout out to Tyler, because not only was he innovative with these ideas, but he has long been a partner in food insecurity. And it's an issue that I know matters to a lot of us. And when these restaurants had to shut down, so many of them either fed their employees with their existing stock in their freezers and their refrigerators, or if they weren't able to sell it, they gave it to so many food banks and food pantries. And if it weren't for all of that support, I really don't know where our communities would be. And when you spend money at these restaurants, you are giving back to your community. You're not just getting a good meal. You're not just getting this wonderful experience. You are giving to your community. They're the first ones to step up when a baseball team needs to be sponsored. They're the first ones to step up when you go and you say, hey, I need a gift certificate for my kid's school auction. So the support that the governor's office has shown to our restaurants, the backbones of our communities for so many reasons, the innovation, the support of the Connecticut Restaurant Association, I'm just proud to be standing here. And on behalf of the Farmington Valley Takeout Group, we're so glad you're one of ours.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Representative Mark Anderson.
Thank you. I'm very proud to be part of this. As a freshman legislator, to be proud of a bipartisan effort to help our businesses, and I couldn't say no to the invitation to speak here, because a little over 7 years ago I was engaged there. So I'm glad to see this restaurant still thriving, and I'm still married, so it's worked out really well, but really happy to be here today. Thank you.
We are happy you're still married too, Representative. Next, we have Representative Brian Smith.
Thank you. I'm also very happy to be here, and extremely happy to have been a part of the group that approved this piece of legislation. As also someone who cut his teeth in the restaurant industry, from 14 on, setting tables in banquet halls, to cooking and dishwashing, full-time for a while between gigs at school. I have to say, we can never underestimate the importance of restaurants to our economy at a statewide and a national level. The number of jobs that are provided by this industry, entry-level, good-paying jobs that allow people to find their career path, get their feet under them economically, support their families, is something that we all have to do everything we can to keep going. It's very important to the future of our country as well as our state, and I'm so happy that we're able to find ways to keep our restaurant industry in Connecticut alive and strong and ready to prosper as we move out of this pandemic and onto a new growth path. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you, Governor, for being here to sign the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Representative TAMI ZAWISTOWSKI. Great.
Good. ZAWISTOWSKI, not always the easiest name. This is a good day for our small, privately owned restaurants and also for our small businesses. These are people that were hit the hardest during the pandemic. We did have companies, some of our larger restaurant chains, corporately owned. They did okay, but it's the folks like Tyler that had to really scramble to be able to get and spent a lot of their own money, not corporate money, to be able to work with the town and with the state to be able to find really good workarounds for some of the problems that they came across. I had a conversation with Tyler before the governor got here, and he mentioned that this restaurant, a lot of people that come here now are from the Boston area and from the New York area. This is what we need. I'm vice chair of the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Caucus, and we are looking for businesses like that. They can draw from outside, and Tyler's done an incredibly good job doing that between his food awards and also just the reputation of the place. It would be great to see a lot of this spread to other restaurants and other small businesses in the state. I think this is a really good first step to be able to have to be a welcoming experience for people. And I'm very proud to be part of the bipartisan effort that actually made this happen. Thanks to the governor for actually starting out the idea as an executive order. And this is a good day for small business. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker representing the legislature is Representative CRISTIN McCarthy VAHEY from downstate in Fairfield County, but she is the co-chair of the Committee on Planning and Development and really pushed us forward with a unanimous vote out of the legislature. And while we're here today, thank you.
Thank you, Gwendolyn, and thank you, Governor, and to the Restaurant Association. This absolutely has been a collaborative effort. And I will say this, turning an executive order into legislation is not as easy as everyone might think. And I give tremendous credit to Governor Lamont and your team. Doug DeLena especially deserves a shout out for helping to make this executive order into something that we can continue to count on. And I give tremendous credit to Tyler, Scott, to everyone who is part of the Restaurant Association. It really was a collaborative team effort and a way to allow our businesses to streamline the process through local zoning. And it really does make a difference. We've been talking a lot about zoning, and we certainly will be in the session to come. This is an example of why and how it's important to make efforts that are easy and simple for our businesses so that they can thrive. And the last thing I'll say is restaurants, besides being such an engine of our economy, they're a place where we as community gather and come together. And now, in the midst of the pandemic, this is even more important, that we have those places that we can come together as community members and reconnect with one another. So thank you to everyone. Also a special shout out to Rep. Zullo, the ranking member, who we work very collaboratively, and to our Senate leaders, as well as our Commerce Committee leadership, who is part of this, along with the Main Street Working Group. Thanks so much.
And last but not least, we'll have a few words from our governor, and we will move to the actual bill signing.
All right, well, this is fun. Let me just do something I'm never supposed to do. Tyler, this restaurant is amazing. Come to Millwright right here in Simsbury. It is the most gorgeous place I've seen. I don't know who Chef Beard is, but he sounds like he's a pretty good role model. And Andy and I are coming here really soon. This is amazing. And I just love a little bit of the history. Coming in with Tyler, you know, was telling me his granddad was on the Orient Express. So these were modeled after the Orient Express, where you can get murdered, but you also can really have really nice meals on the Orient Express. And this creativity here is, Scott mentioned this was a park. And this is how you bring your parks back to life, your restaurants back to life, and your towns back to life with this type of creativity. And Tony and Kristen were talking about collaboration. I just want to say something about collaborating with Scott DOLCH and the Restaurant Association. I mean, it was pretty tough, you know, 11, 12 months ago, and they were in the governor's residence every other night. They'd be driving around in one direction going, open it up, and driving around the other direction saying, lock it down, lock it down. And as I was standing there with Scott, and it was really Scott and David Lehman, they became brothers by another mother, I think. They were pretty close. There was more in common than you may think, in this sense. We wanted the restaurants to open. We wanted the restaurants to open safely. And if you didn't give the customers confidence that they were opening safely, you're not going to get customers into your restaurant. So while there was some urgency to get things going faster or some sense that maybe we're going too fast, it was to some degree determined by people who wanted to get back to a new normal, and they wanted to do it safely. And I think that's how we did it with restaurants and a variety of other places. Other parts of the country, they were having battles back and forth. We did it through collaboration, and I just want to say my special thanks to the legislature on this. Those executive orders were tough. We didn't always know how they were going to work out. They always weren't that popular at the beginning. And let's go through and see what we've learned from this damn COVID crisis and see how we can make some of these things permanent and see what a difference we can make. And I like that word bipartisan. When we can work together, we can do amazing things as a state. Thanks, everybody. You ready to go? Yep. All right.
You gotta get in the photo.
Yep, you gotta come.
Yes, up front. Go up front. Right up front. You go. Stop. Go ahead. Well, I don't know. Hey, go in front. Go.
All right, that concludes our program, so we'll open up for any questions from the media at this point.
One of the things that Florida has been able to do, and many states, warmer states, they've been able to stay open outdoors, and Connecticut has really been shut down. But we're not out of the woods yet. So how do you think this will help? I mean, concerned that maybe 6-8 months down the road we may be back looking at other alternatives or ideas.
I can as far as they can do everything outdoors, we got to be more creative. Is that all right?
Well, Susan, I heard more of your question. Yeah, they've been able to have outdoor dining this entire time. We live in New England. We've had the winter that we faced. Luckily, Tyler's been able to put in greenhouses and heat, but not everyone's been that fortunate. But I think, also to the 100% capacity, there's still spacing restrictions inside. And it's not only whether or not you can do it, it's also the confidence of the consumers. And you don't want to jam anything back anyway. And that's why going outside gets you those seats back. And that's why it's so vital to have this piece of legislation, because let's say you have a 100-seat restaurant. Maybe you can only do 65 or 70 spaced-wise, even with plexi, to get those other 30, 35 back. If you didn't have a patio, you can do that again. You can do that through next March. So that's why this piece of legislation is about getting everybody back, almost a chance for a whole. And it's also the confidence of consumers when they go and say, hey, I don't feel, I don't know if they're ready yet to go anything back to pure normal with spacing. So outside is so important. I don't know if that...
I'll say one other thing. You can sit outside in 90 degrees in some place along a golf course in Florida. You can be here at Millwright. I'll take this any day of the week.
You're outdoors plus with a lot indoors. What is your capacity now compared to
So our capacity indoors, we have a big restaurant. Our capacity is 280 indoors. Part of that is a bar that's snug, a tavern that's snug, and spacing is tough down there. Part of it is a private dining room. So private dining has not been what it could be. So between everything, we're probably at about 150 right now, which helps us quite a bit. But when they figure occupancy, they're figuring space in that. So with our tables 6 feet apart, there still is an issue with that. So to Scott's point, the outdoor helps supplement that, unless you want, we didn't want to put plexiglass everywhere, and there's only so much that you could do. But this outdoor really helps us get back to closer to what our occupancy is. We have 54 seats out here. Now, as you can see, they're greenhouses, so we can't get a 4 and put 2 2s together and be creative with that. So we just make sure that they're sold on a nightly basis. So we're able to do, and we only seat these one time a night. So there's a little bit of a premium involved in that, but it gets us about an extra 40 covers a day, which can equate to, it gets us through. Yeah. And thankfully, they've been full almost every day, which is very nice.
You would like to do permanently, did you learn during the pandemic about your operations that you would like to continue?
Well, I forgot to thank my great business partner, Chris Nelson, who is next door, who has a wonderful construction company, Nelson Construction, who has been very supportive in all this. So through all this, I think a lot of restaurateurs are seeing opportunities to do things they otherwise wouldn't. It gave us a quick chance to not have to go through all the processes we would before, to be able to see what works and what doesn't. There are definitely 2 to 3 things that we're doing now or that we're going to do next summer that we think will work permanently. This probably not so much.
Did you buy these or rent?
Oh, we bought them. Yeah. No, we bought them. And they're for sale, too. We're going to put picnic benches out. So if any other restaurateur is looking for a system, we have your system.
What's it cost?
I mean, it was considerable. It wasn't a small investment, but they've more than paid for themselves. So each unit was around $5,000, and we have, how many do we have? We have 7 units. So all in all, and plus we have a full ventilation system over there. So we wanted to blow. The issue at first with the greenhouses not being able to be in Connecticut, I totally got it. You don't want a bunch of people sitting in a bubble, drinking, and who didn't know each other with no air circulating. But we have a full ventilation system and a heating system that sucks in clean air and blows clean air into them. And the air changes faster than an ICU room. So it's pretty safe. Every 3 minutes, there's a full air refresh. So there was a little investment here. Thanks again, Chris Nelson, for being a great partner.
Governor, any new guidance from CDC on the day today? Any indication as to when the pause will end?
The question is about the J&J pause. No, I don't know how long they're going to take a look at this 1 in a million occurrence and when they get back to J&J. We got additional vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer, and I just hope it doesn't mean there's a pause in people knowing how important it is to get vaccinated. That's what I really worry about. I would have handled it differently, and I let them know that. Look, governors across the country we've had a lot of vaccines. A lot of people have gotten vaccinated. Now we're trying to get those who are a little more hesitant to get vaccinated, and the CDC sent out a signal that was not helpful. I'll tell you later. Now I feel like an old man. I can't hear you.
The plus 5s that are caused by the Johnson & Johnson are similar to AstraZeneca. So I guess the bottom line is, do you think that this will hurt Johnson & Johnson's reputation, that people just won't want to get that vaccine?
The question is this going to, I think, damage J&J's reputation a little bit? I turn that on its head. As I said yesterday, the CDC and FDA are erring on the side of extreme caution. 1 in a million is like getting hit by lightning. So this should give you confidence that they're not rushing any vaccines out there, and whatever is out there is very safe. And I think Mrs. Paziokas has her eye on one of these, and Mother's Day is coming up, Mark. You were asking some pretty probing questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.